sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast.
It's your main man, Mike, baconeggendcheese.com, and I'd like to welcome you all to another Corner Convo. As always, I'm never alone, otherwise you probably wouldn't watch this. I have a lovely panel of people here with me, and I have two first-timers. Yeah, and the first one is the lovely Phantom in the building.
Yes.
Thank you for coming, darling.
Appreciate it.
Next to Phantom is another first-timer. And he goes by the name of
Rob. And I'm just glad you put some bass in your voice.
I wasn't gonna do the high pitch thing for you. I actually switched that a couple weeks ago because I realized it didn't work for the fellas. It doesn't feel right. Thank you, brother. My man Rob is here. Okay, next to Rob is the one and only
Eveline.
Queen Eveline has made her return to the Corner Convo. Yeah. On the right side, start at the top with the one and only
BKD.
BK Diva's in the building. Next to BK Diva is
Shawnee's.
Sunny Canada in the building. That girl's smart, I tell you no. Because you can't just be anybody and go to SUNY Canada, you understand?
An imaginary school.
How? Next to my girl Shawnee's is the one and only
Keisha.
Keisha's in the building. Corner Convo has, wait a minute. You know the show ain't hot without the G-spot. All day, every day. Did you find it?
Every time. I'm looking for it right now.
Look at it. You found it?
I hope to.
Ha! Okay. On a serious note, I want to talk about something that's actually very serious. I got a phone call from a client of mine who had to cancel an appointment because the child got arrested for having a knife on their own property. I think it was a result of the stop and frisk. It's the 4th of July, so the police were kind of making their rounds. And so I'm like, I gotta talk to my panel about this. What do y'all feel about the whole stop and frisk movement overall? Anybody, feel free to jump in.
I'm sorry, because you said the story first. I wanted to know, were they barbecuing outside?
Now I don't know the details. Now here's what I do know. The boy was in front of his house where he lives. I don't think we're talking about an apartment complex. I don't think we're talking about like a project building. We're talking about his house. You know, he lives there. The police called him over. As he was being called over, I guess, the mother realized he was being talked to by the police. She said, "What are you doing? That's my son." They say, "Oh, he got this knife." She goes in to get his ID. When she comes back out, he's in handcuffs.
Where was the knife positioned at?
The knife was on his belt. Like on his belt. And you know, I made the assumption, okay, it's 90 degrees outside. Maybe he just has a wife beater on. His shirt is tucked in. And the police can see the knife on his belt kind of visible.
First mistake was leaving his own property. This is exactly why the cops called him off his property, because they know that once he's on his own property, it's null and void. And they called him over. If he knew his rights, he would have actually asked the cops to come to him.
But then, isn't it?
Because even then, Phantom, I know you got something to say.
Isn't it okay to carry a knife that's not more than like 4 inches?
3 inches.
3 inches or
But
whatever?
that's the blade, right?
Yeah.
As long as the blade isn't longer than 3 inches.
Right. So, I mean,
It can't be switched.
So,
yeah,
so
Swiss blade can't.
here-
It's not legal.
Go ahead, Phantom.
here's the thing. Just to be real, I have 3 sons,
Mm.
and they're black. Their dad's black,
Yeah.
and those are the
She's like, they're black.
I mean, just in case, you know,
Right.
someone might just misunderstand that they're the people that people would say would be targeted by stop and
Police.
frisk.
Right.
Right, but as a mother, the first thing I'm wondering is, why does he have a knife
That was my
on his
first
pants?
Visible.
Period. No, not visible.
Period.
Period. At the point that you feel that you are in danger for your life to where you need to carry a knife at your disposal on your pants, you would not just be standing outside on the front of the yard to defend yourself from danger. There is some logic here that if you're carrying the knife for what? If you're cooking and they come, then there's a problem if you're trying to barbecue and they're bothering you. If someone is threatening you and you went and grabbed the knife, then there is a problem, then there's an issue because you have a right to defend yourself. But if you were just standing out with a knife on your pants, on your loop, I'm afraid for my 3 sons, 17, 16, 14, because they walk without knives.
I understand your point under one circumstance in this situation. If it's not my house. If I'm in front of our apartment complex building, I understand where you're coming from.
No,
if I'm sitting on my porch or my property or my front yard,
but with the knife,
I feel it's my right to do so.
It is your right to do it, but also people have a right to not feel threatened. So you have neighbors, even if it's your house, there are other people that have a house. And those people in those houses next to you may feel, not the police, but the person may feel that you feel that because you have the knife on your pants that you're somehow, threatening. You're like you're trying to intimidate.
But as long as I'm on my property, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that's something that should concern you. Now what should concern you is if you plan on attacking my property, then yeah, you should be worried that I'm the dude on the front porch with a knife on
Where was
his
he
head.
at on his property that they were able to see that? Was he
Yeah,
on his porch?
this is.
I'm not sure.
Was he outside the gate?
This is where the.
Well, here's what I'll guess because I know the neighborhood. The police, the blocks aren't huge. We're not talking about Eastern Parkway blocks. We're talking about small, could be one-way streets that might be two-way streets, right? So we're talking about maybe 5, 6, 7 houses on a block next to each other, maybe more. So
gates?
With gates,
that's a long
some
block.
without, and we're talking about a skinny walking path. So if you're driving in the car, you can actually look on the side and see if the person on the porch has a nice watch.
Okay. Oh.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like I can be like, oh, they drinking Heineken.
Yeah.
Oh, they smoking over there.
Yeah.
Driving.
And
you know what I mean?
they don't even drive in those areas. They walk a lot.
A lot.
So
I believe these police were probably looking for something to do. Sorry, it's the 4th of July. All them dudes that's on duty is probably
looking for
upset.
someone that
Well, you
may
need
be
to write up,
intimidating.
yeah.
Someone that the thing is, what intimidation is to one is different to another. So one without a weapon is less intimidating than one with a weapon. And someone that feels that they have to defend their property at some point has felt threatened. And I would feel there's something going on with that.
I walk around in my own house. With a switchblade, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm cutting up boxes. You know
In
what I
your
mean?
house?
Some people cut up oranges with a blade. You know what I mean? It's a
Sugar
utility.
cane.
It's
It's
sweet.
utility knife.
It's sweet to do it, but
Okay.
this is what I'm asking. The reason why I'm asking is because if it was something that he carried around for oranges or for sugar cane, I'm sure you would see the residue of oranges and sugar cane on there. And I'm sure if he showed the officer that there's a certain way you talk to an officer.
No.
If you're not talking, snatch him up, but I'm just saying, someone that called you about a blade on a stop and frisk, considering what was just in the news today, I think what happened on the news with the young man that was caught, and he was just freed, and they said it was illegal for them to find the gun on him because there was no reason for them to even feel he had the gun, and they only stopped him because of stop and frisk. Now, he did ultimately rob someone and shoot them afterwards and hurt them, but that's not the point. They were found, seriously, that is not the point. And that's not the point for the law. The law is they're fighting against stop and frisk. And the thing is, they did not have a right because they had no suspicion he had a gun.
Yeah.
And there was a suspicion is not enough. Sorry, they had a suspicion, but a suspicion is not enough. You need to have a probable cause that there is some type of reason that you believe they have it. You have to believe there's probable cause they have this on them. So this officer didn't have the probable cause. He had suspicion. And he asked for ID, and the person showed them ID in the front of the bag. And he chose to look in the back of the book bag, and that's where he found the gun. And this is why this guy is let off of that charge. But he's locked up. He's locked up because he ended up using another gun and shooting someone else. And that's
Evelyn, you have something to say, please.
sorry.
I think my whole thing is why do you have the blade visible? Period. You're in an atmosphere now.
Concealed.
You're-
Then it's a concealed weapon, which actually carries a higher charge.
On your property, they wouldn't see concealed.
On your property, you can have.
They can't see concealed.
No. But I'm saying once you're on your property, you can have a knife out. Like,
Yeah, you can. That's
literally
what
wave it. You can have a machete out.
Yeah.
You can wave it.
I just.
But
I
once you
just-
get off your property, That's why most times if a cop comes to your door,
Yes, you
he
come
says, "Sir,
outside."
can you step outside?"
Right.
The moment you say, "I'm not stepping outside," they can't come in without a warrant. And people need to know these.
Can you
I
drink
think-
a beer on your front porch?
Yes, you can.
On your front porch, yes.
Yes,
Of
you
your
can.
property, yes.
Yes, you can. Without it being in the brown paper bag.
Right.
You can have.
But the minute, and
You
this
can
is the
step
thing
across
that
the gate.
where we have to be empowered, where we have to empower ourselves is knowing
Be
the
aware.
law,
Yep.
knowing your
That's the
rights.
sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Whoop,